Steve Davis Show is proudly presented by Dave and Buster's.
Hey, welcome to the Steve Davis Show. Special guest today is Dominic Aragon, host of the New Mexico Motorsports Report, editor-in-chief of the RacingExperts.com.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, you know, I thanks for doing your show. I mean, it's been overdue. It's been something that I think the racing. I think you was this your third episode now so far?
Done. I think 6 episodes now.
Yeah, it's 6. It's gone by that. Gone that quick. So you've done an unbelievable job of organizing it. But what people don't realize is that you've actually been doing it for 5 years on basically 1017 The Team, and now you've gone to TV. So tell me the difference in the roles.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we do it on ESPN Radio 101.7 The Team, and that's more David Swope, who's the co-host of the TV side of this show. Right. He's the one who hosts it every week and brings on guests, and we'll talk about what's going on nationally, locally. We kind of have a good little mix. And whenever he can't fill in, or whenever he can't host, he'll have me fill in for it. And I'll be on as a little guest once in a while. But yeah, it's crazy how much more preparation you have to do for the television side. And not knocking the radio side, you have to do a lot of preparation. You have to have your notes, your stories, but when it comes to the television side, you have to have that video ready and the scripts ready, and you don't really realize how much goes into that preparation until you're actually doing it.
And you do a 30-minute show, right? Or is it an hour show?
Hour show as well there, yeah.
And what's funny about the hour show is, you know, when you first think about it, you're going like, oh, how can I get that much information in an hour?
Yeah, how do you fill that amount of time?
Then you find out you don't have enough time to fill it once you, especially if you have a guest come on or somebody deal, all of a sudden it just takes off.
Absolutely, yeah, because especially with television, you're not really sure how it can go, and at least with radio, you can kind of ad-lib more and you don't have to like really dress up for the radio or anything like that, but you definitely have a different way to approach a television show.
And television also, it puts the face with the voice, okay? Like you know, I always use J.J. Buck as a perfect example. You know, great, he's a co-host with Jeff Symbiota, but if you see him in public, you don't know that's J.J. Buck. You know,
exactly.
I mean, now on the other hand, Jeff Symbiota is like, you know, he's been on TV and he's been on radio and he's done a great job of doing both, so he's very recognizable when you see him.
And I think David's a great example that he always used to say, oh, I got the face for radio. And not really many people knew him, but I think people are starting to really recognize who this guy is, because he's hosted the show now for about 4 or 5 years, and now there's a face to the name. Like
I just can't believe you guys have done 6 shows already. Any autographs? You had time to sign any autographs yet or anything like that?
No, but we did have fake fan mail that came in for Brooklyn yesterday. So we had a driver write to her, and we talked about the letter on air. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's been crazy how this thing has turned over 6 shows already.
So talk about your show real quickly on you know, what are your segments? Is there certain segments that you have guidelines that you go by and
yeah. So we do the hour-long show, and we try to go about 12 minutes on each segment. So there's 4 segments we break it up into, and that first national segment is segment 1. We talk about the national headlines, roll some video, just kind of analyze and break down what happened.
You learned a lesson about that too, huh? About you can only use so much of the NASCAR deal, or
exactly.
You already got a little lesson on that a little bit. So.
Yeah, you have to give courtesy, and thankfully NASCAR really works well with the media. And as long as you burn on the courtesy NASCAR text over the video that you're using, they're okay with it. But Formula One actually did protest the video that we had in our 3rd episode. So Formula One said, "Nah, you're not going to use our video." So yeah, that's pretty much.
I told you that's how quick. You know, everybody's like, again, it's you know, Proview had the platform of the YouTube and things like that. And I says, watch, this thing's going to get out there. And the next thing you know, you better be careful what you say and what you do, and then be very, very politically correct all the time.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy how that's such an international sport. It's an international market, and they're able to pinpoint, hey, somebody in Albuquerque, New Mexico used our video. That's how quick they have their guys looking at it.
And what was their reason? I get it if it's, you know, I think it's regulation. You only use 30 seconds or a minute or something like that of the video of the race, and use the courtesy thing. But why wouldn't they want that, you know, more exposure about their race cars and people talking about it? I guess it doesn't hit home too well with me. So
and it's media coverage. You would think any attention's good attention, but for the Formula One and FIA, they don't believe in that. I think they feel like it's more a pay to play.
No, it's there. Yeah.
Exactly. Kind of like with the NFL. The NFL really doesn't need the publicity because everybody knows what the NFL is, and worldwide F1 is like the renowned World Racing Series. So they feel they don't need to really share the video. But that was a good learning lesson with that. So
did it kind of shocked you a little bit?
It did
because you're like, well, what are you going to? And basically they kind of spanked your hand a little bit. Just said,
it's like, don't do that again. Yeah, one of those things. Yeah, because we were looking on YouTube for the episode. I'm like, oh, where's the show? And then come to find out Formula One had a little bit to do with that. So yeah, we've definitely been a lot more careful with that, and that kind of leads to like the second segment that we do with the show. We kind of wrap up the headlines from that first segment. We kind of preview to who our guest is going to be, and sometimes we have one or two guests, and we've been very fortunate to have Al Unser Sr. come on the show, and people who have partnered with the radio show over the years come on and kind of talk about it. So
well, and and what's amazing is you got such a, well, I guess a big audience that people, you know, they don't get enough about racing.
Yeah, I've had so many people tell us, like, the segments we do on the radio, especially with our call-in guests, they're like, we want more. There's not enough time to really talk about what should be covered or addressed.
I had David on a couple of weeks ago, and David Swope, and it's not David Swopes. I'm saying it right. David Swope. I learned how to speak, but he was on the show, and it's amazing how he can just rattle off. I mean, he's just so
he
quick.
knows what he's talking about. Yeah,
it's pretty. And then with the chemistry between you and him, it just seemed like it was something natural that just, you know, because a lot of people, they get stage fright from the camera sometimes, and we got some pictures there.
Yeah, there's Dave and I in 2014 at Kansas Speedway. We were out there covering one of the NASCAR playoff races, and we're talking with NASCAR driver AJ Allmendinger. He had just come off the week before being eliminated by just a couple points, so we got this little 2-on-1, if you will, that we used for the radio, and David's someone I really do have. I really hold highly with him because he is somebody I've learned a lot over the years from, and I think there's only so much you can really learn in a classroom or whatever. I think you got to.
Well, no, you got to have that experience, and like when you
credit Swope to that.
And you have to be your own person. I mean, you can't be somebody else. You have to have your own, you know, and have confidence in who you are.
Sure.
So it's pretty. Once you get that down, it's, you know, it's kind of like I tell you when I came in the office with, as I said, look, you know, my first probably. I would say my first 6 shows, my stomach hurt because I was trying to be too much and I always tell the story. There's a guy named Jim Holzman that, you know, we went to lunch and he goes, well, how's the show going? And I said, Jim, it's like I'm too uptight about it, and I try to do too much, and I try to dictate and try to control.
Well, it's natural excitement, right?
Right. You control the deal and make sure that the audience, you know, that my guest was, you know, really taken good care of. And so he just gave me a little deal. He just said, Steve, why don't you just be Steve Davis? And I thought about it, and and I thought, you know what? I just want my show to be about 2 guys, if they're just, you know, if they're at an establishment or anything like that, just sitting around, eating or doing something, just talking, and you got the boys around or the girls or whatever, you're just talking, and you're talking a sport about something you're having passion with. And sure enough, once I got that, I just come in. You saw me today. I just come walking in here, and I'm ready to roll, and I'm excited that you're here. That you're, we got a new show on Proview TV, if you want to say. And hey, what day is that air on?
So that runs on Thursdays at 5:30, and I believe there's a couple reruns that are scheduled after that. And yeah, we tape on Tuesdays at 5:30, and it's a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun doing this. It wasn't even on our radar a couple months ago, and
that was, I just really, I've known David, I've run across paths over him, but I really hadn't gotten to know him over until actually, he came to the Dream Style remodeling show and sat down and talked with him. And it's funny, he didn't realize I played basketball. You just start talking, and then the next thing you know, we find out that we have a bunch of friends, in common that we had no idea that we even knew, and that's what I think this is what this is all about, is just really emphasizing, one, the history of the motorsports in New Mexico. I mean, you go back to, you said Al and Bobby John, right there, but there's even more since that time.
Absolutely. I don't think a lot of people realize too that Al Unser Jr., he's the last New Mexican to run the Daytona 500, and there's been other New Mexicans who go on and race in NASCAR, and even our local racers too. How names are built out at Sandia Raceway. We have names built at Uranium Capital Speedway in Grants, or the track in Las Cruces. There's a lot of great local racing here, and I don't know if people maybe realize that we have such a great racing scene, a great local, tight-knit community.
Well, Donald, we're going to go to the Dream Style top 10 plays of the week, and we're going to come back, talk more about motorsports and also about being a racing expert.
Well, appreciate that.
To the end of it, but how about that one-handed pick from Caleb Vanderbilt?
So Garland's going to step up. He's going to fire down the middle, and he's got a man, and it's caught. It's caught as a flag will come out. Gum holds on to it.
Steele the 5 steps up. Got time. Dog run up the middle. Got a block. Complete to Garcia. 10, 5, touchdown. 48-yard pass. Wow. Marcus Steele.
Noel's going to throw. He's going to come deep. He's got his guy, and it's complete. A foot race down the near sideline. To the 10, to the 5, and in. Touchdown, racing in. Gonna go down the middle at the 5, a cut to the end zone, touchdown, diving in.
Steele rolls to his left under pressure. Should have to get rid of it. Oh, sack. Oh, man, what a hit. Yeah, because they have 3 different options every time they run that action. Cleveland's got it with a lot of room. And he is gone. And he's gone. Christopher Thomas. No, the fumble recovered. Going in. Touchdown, Storm. Back to the air. Another missed tackle. In the open field, he missed that one. He's got one more man to beat. He's down the sideline. Can anybody chase him? I don't think so. That's Aiden Shipman in for the touchdown. Carpenter on the little jet sweep, looking for the right edge. He might find it here. Whoa, nice cut. He's got one man left down there. I don't think anyone's going to catch him. That's going to be a touchdown for Cale Cox-Liggins. Wow. 63 yards on the touchdown for Cox Liggins.
Trips up high for Nolan. Looking, he's got time. Gonna fire down the middle, and it's caught. Touchdown.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, hashtag life change will occur.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Well, I'm going to the Frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a #1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth that's real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Welcome back to the Steve Davis Show. We have Dominic Aragon here, host of the New Mexico Motorsports Reports and also editor-in-chief of the RacingExperts.com.
Yeah.
Well, you're pretty, what is it, ambitious or very intuitive about what you're doing and have a lot of energy to do all this. You know, you touched a little bit. How many race tracks are in New Mexico? Do you have that?
Ooh, off the top of my head, it's probably about 10.
And tell me about kind of help me out. I'm a layman to the deal. So, is it mostly in the summertime when they race, or is it used year round, or is it do they do it do they qualify for weeks and then you get to be in the top? So kind of give me educate me on that.
You got it. Yeah, with local racing, you see a lot of Saturday night racing, and that's usually springtime to about the fall time. And you'll see a lot of tracks move up their start times during the springtime and the fall time to maybe 3:30 as opposed to 5 or 6 because it starts getting cold at night. But for the most part, you could call it a summer endeavor, a summer sport.
When I was in high school, I had a friend that was really into racing. So basically, I just remember Roswell. I just remember there's a place in Roswell that it was drag, and it was pretty. I probably went 3 or 4 times with him because it was so intriguing about, of what kind of, there's different levels of racing, okay? I mean, you start bringing up and all the little tricks and stuff that if and people come around and check the engines and check
so many specs and regulations.
Right. So it's like, you're like, and just the atmosphere, I guess the rush of, it was like a car can only do, I was like, your car can only do so much, but he says, no, there's more to it. You got to watch the lights and you got to be able to, to not put too much right into it because it'll spin out. And so you got to
into that throttle.
and then the competitiveness of. I just remember that to this day that he won whatever division he was in. He won it, and then the guy that he beat. Some part or whatever didn't perform on that deal, and so his car just kind of died, and so he went back and he wanted to re-race the trophy. No, on the deal. He said, no, my car's faster than yours, and I want to deal. And we said, no, we're out of here, man. We got the blue, and they almost got into. I mean, they got that competitive that there's a lot of competition with those and teamwork with the crews.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, a lot of people may think it's just the driver behind the wheel, but you got your mechanics, you have a crew chief, you have people who know what they're doing.
Engineers, you got the deal, and then there's the and I'm talking on not drag racing, but I'm talking on a regular Formula One racing or whatever, is the how it drafts. I mean, I've watched enough. Mm-hmm. How you draft, and when to get gas, when not to get gas, when to change tires, and I mean, it's pretty amazing that it's funny, because in basketball. I'm thinking of a basketball field a court is basically wood, so it's not that big of a difference. But on different racetracks have different, a different feel.
Sure. Yeah, some tracks are asphalt, some have concrete in the corners, and it makes a huge difference. It's been compared to like driving on glass or like driving on a smooth surface. Some have uphill and downhill, some have different banking, and each track's different.
So why do you have the passion you do for the sport?
It's a great question. It's funny. I always look back to when I was.
Did you race? Did you race yourself?
I got to do a little bit of racing, some competitive go-kart racing, and a little bit of sim racing online racing.
That's where it really starts, right? You look back with Unsers and them. That's how they started.
Kind of work your way up to go-karts, and then kind of branch off to what kind of area you're going to. But for me, it started when I was 5 years old. Santa, one year for Christmas, brought a PlayStation. And there were some different games in there. There was Hot Wheels racing, Toy Story, all that. And one of the games was NASCAR 99. And I didn't know what NASCAR was. And I didn't know if this was fake, if it was fantasy, if this was something real. But I remember plugging it in and playing it as a kid, and then just really developing a love for the sport, which is fascinating because nobody in my immediate family really watches the sport or really follows it. But then here's this kid who just has such this passion for racing.
Well, were you glued to the TV? I mean, I guess I'm thinking, that it was just something. Because it's actually kind of soothing to watch a race. Now, going to a race, unless you're in the pit,
different, yeah.
I'll never. I thought, I had a friend, his name Dick Hunsaker, that and he lived close to it. We went to the Indianapolis 500, right? And I was excited to go see it, but it was I didn't realize how big it was. Okay,
oh, yeah.
I mean, it's huge, and I think 100,000 people get to, or more can see the race. But to this day, I'll never forget it. We were novices. We just thought, we'd go, just go over there and get in, or well, we parked on the wrong side, and we had to walk around the whole just to find our seats.
Oh, yeah.
So and then it was
That's
hot.
a big track too.
And it was hot, and so you just don't realize how fast these cars are. Because I don't know, I guess the track is half a mile around,
well, especially with Indy, 2.5 miles, huge place, yeah.
So it's a half mile around, I think, and we're sitting there, and basically all I can remember is this. They went by so fast you couldn't, it was actually better to watch it on TV because on TV it looks like it's in slow motion. They're all
exactly, like they're moving at a normal pace.
Right. And they have the camera work on them, and so that was my experience with. So what I figured out is if I'm going to go to Indianapolis, I want to be in the cockpit. I want to be down with the racing and see all the guys working and see the teamwork on it, because truthfully, you really got to love the sport to sit through and watch that. I was like, this is not what I was expected to. And we really, I think after an hour, it was 100 and something degrees out there, and people were actually passing out because it was so hot. Sure. The water was going everywhere. I really, truthfully, really I've had no interest to ever go watch another one. You know, I'd rather now. I'll sit down and watch, you know, a race all day on the Indy 500 because I've been there and got to see all the cars and we went to the hotels and saw and got to meet and talk to people like that. That part is fun.
And I think it's a great environment. If anyone's never been to a NASCAR race or IndyCar race, it's one of those environments I think you should try once. Like any kind of professional sports. Like I was just telling Josh Brown, one of the producers of this show, how fun the environment is if you're going as a fan. NFL tailgating is a great experience. It's ×3 with NASCAR, and how everyone is so friendly. There's a lot of good food being barbecued. People are drinking, having a good time, and then you go out and watch the race. It's a really, really good time.
You know, and some of my favorite movies have been, you know, race cars. I mean, it's been pretty neat. I mean, some of the stories that are based off of really, some of the race cars racing in downtown, you know, across the hill and doing things like that. But getting a ticket for racing, not on the deal, but that's how competitive, you know, they get. And I think, you know, the biggest thing that is the technology, you know, and how secretive it is, and how they keep you away from, you know. They don't let anybody just come in there and start taking pictures and stuff. Like
especially when that little hood is up for the engine. You better not take a picture of that engine, or you're gonna get kicked out of the garage area. Or just there's people whose jobs are to engineer and to research and develop all these parts that go into the race cars. Like a NASCAR Ready Cup car to go racing on a Sunday, each car costs about $250,000. And all these teams have fleets and fleets of these cars. Minimum, exactly.
Yeah,
and that's if you maybe want to run 15 or 20.
And then just the tires alone are pretty. They're up there pretty.
How much do you think a set of tires costs?
You know, I always, you know. Because an 18-wheeler at one time, each wheel was $1,000, and this was way back, so they're probably even more. I would say a couple grand per tire.
You're not that far. Well, for the set of 4 for the Goodyear Eagles, it's about $2,200. Right. And what's interesting is the teams actually have to buy the tires. NASCAR will give the teams, in this case, gas. Sunoco is one of their providers, so all the teams get free gas as part of the promotion deal, but they have to actually purchase the tires outright before the beginning of the race. And if they don't use all the tires, NASCAR still collects the tires, so you just wasted your money. So you have to be very picky on and kind of have your strategy picked out, if you will. Because you can go through a set of tires, like 8 tires. A set of 8 tires in one race.
Right.
And just the tire bill alone is going to be about $17,000.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of money spent on just the rubber alone.
So it wasn't too. I remember that, you know, 18-wheeler was. This was probably back in the 70s, 80s, and
sure.
And I was amazed that one tire was, you know, $1,000, or probably more than that now. But I'm just saying, and it doesn't even include the rims and everything else like that.
Yeah, just the tire itself. You're right. The parts and pieces that make that car go. You spent a lot of money.
You know, and then I'm just thinking about being in the pit. You know, not the dream style arena pit, but but being in there is to see, you know, how organized and how, you know, and how they practice and you know, they have it down to a time. They got to have it done in 10 seconds or 15 seconds. It's amazing.
You're changing 4 tires in 13 seconds. It's slow.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
So
it's gotten faster and faster over time. I remember about 10, 12 years ago, a good pit stop was 14 seconds to refuel the car.
That was even dated on that. That's why I was like 13 seconds was what I thought was pretty.
And you would think that's a good time, but some of these crews are doing in the low 12-second, high 11-second range, and it's just crazy how these pit crews are getting faster and faster.
And also the technology of how, you know, they have the guns and they have
the air guns to just loosen those lug nuts, But
so, give me a little Reader's Digest of how you got here, how you evolved to where you're at.
Sure, yeah. So I'm originally from Grants, New Mexico. I was born here in Albuquerque, but grew up in Grants.
I won't hold that against you. That's okay.
Oh, okay. Once a pirate, always a pirate.
Right.
But yeah, I grew up in a small town out there. Went to Catholic school for 10 years. Graduated from Grants High School in 2012. Went off to the University of New Mexico.
You got little pictures there of you, man.
Yeah, so there's the family. That's my brother there in the purple shirt. He's 3 years younger, but everyone thinks he's my older brother. So everyone says, "Oh, you guys look like twins," or "He's your older brother," and he looks like it. And then actually, what I do in my spare time, I play drums in my dad's band. So there's us playing up at the Fire and Ice stage in Grants for, I believe that was one of the Battle of the Bands. That's who we are, the Garage Pirates, and play drums in that band. So that's one of the hobbies that really keeps me busy. And we're gonna be playing in a couple of weeks at one of the shows out there. So
you come to Albuquerque and play? Y'all come to Albuquerque and play?
We've never done any shows here. We've done some stuff within Grants and the Grant city limits, but nothing yet. We've had some offers to come play like at some of the casinos, so just a matter of logistically trying to make that work. We've been offered to play some weddings, but yeah, that's pretty much the story.
So you said your dad, so I mean he must been into music for a long time. Is that what does he do?
Yeah, so he's the dairy manager out at the Smith's Food and Drug in Grants, and one of his hobbies, probably the last 25 years, is to play the guitar. And we never really had a band or anything like that. That was never really anything that was on the radar as well. And just he knew some people in Grants that just kind of collaborate, go play. Like I'd play drums, he'd play the guitar. Some other people would play guitar or the bass. And the guy on the left there, his name's Christopher Madrid. He and my dad go back a long time. And so he came over and played one time. And Chris was like, "Hey, I know somebody who is really good at bass." And that's the man on the far right, Richard Best. And so Rick comes over and we start all just kind of playing and seeing what we know. And then lo and behold, we start this band, and that was already 6 years ago. So,
well, how do your weekends are busy because basically, I mean, all the races are usually on Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
And so then you have a little bit of time to can I have your life? I mean, it sounds like y'all.
Yeah.
You have a band, you have the whole thing. So.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. We practice on my days off. They're really cool that they work with me on time off and stuff like that. So.
Well, Donald, we're going to come back. We're going to talk more about New Mexico Motorsports Report.
All right.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened. Dave & Buster's is your destination for fun. Eat delicious chef-crafted food. Try sizzling favorites and new creations from our talented chefs. Drink the coolest cocktail creations. Play the hottest new games to win awesome prizes. And watch all the games in the best sports bar ever. Only at Dave & Buster's.
Duke City Sports Bar. Proud supporter of Proview Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. Catch all the sports action from high school, college, pros, and MMA on one of our 35 HD TVs. Start your night off right with any selection from our delicious menu prepared with fresh, never frozen ingredients. Duke City Sports Bar, Albuquerque's newest sports bar. Located on Eubank and Montgomery, dial 505-433-4020.
Hoops NM Basketball Center is coming soon. 10 full courts broken into 2 wings for ultimate basketball and volleyball play. Locker rooms, a lounge area, a pro shop, and a full snack bar will all be a part of a great experience. Convenient parking and access will make the Hoops NM Basketball Center a premier facility for league play and competitive regional tournaments. With over 9,000 square feet, Hoops NM Basketball Center will take court sports play to another level in our community. Courts are regulation high school size with wood floors and seating for approximately 350 per court. Major sponsors and supporters are being assembled now. If you're interested, contact Dan Serrano at 505-249-7994. Send him an email, hoopsnm@aol.com. That's hoopsnm@aol.com. Hoops NM Basketball Center, a premier sports facility serving our community.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to this edition of the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the Proview Networks. I'm your host, Editor-in-Chief for TheRacingExperts.com, Dominic Aragon.
And I'm David Swope, host of the New Mexico Motorsports Report on ESPN Radio 1017 The Team.
And I'm Brooklyn Green, sideline reporter for the New Mexico Motorsports Report.
Well, a lot of racing to get to this weekend. Dave, you had a front row seat. Let's get started with some of the NASCAR action from this weekend. Kyle Busch played the role of heartbreaker this weekend at Dover International Speedway on Sunday. Chase Elliott had led the most laps in the final stage, but the driver of the number 18 Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing chased him down as the laps wound down. Busch passed Elliott with 2 laps to go in the Apache Warrior 400 to secure win number 4 on the season and his 42nd overall. Chase Elliott was second and Jimmy Johnson was third. Busch enters the second round of the playoffs, seated second overall. We're going to have more on the point situation in a little bit, but
well, that's pretty impressive right there, Dominic. I mean, that's come on, you got your crew and you got two call-ups. So, and I tell you, David Swope is really high on you. I mean, he wanted to do an interview with me and him, all three of us, and I thought, no, you know what, I'll just do one and kind of hype the show and let people know that you have a time slot and you're committed to it, and that's I think that was one thing that about my show was, when I first got it going, it was maybe 10 people watched it, and then as I got guests and more guests on, then they would tell 10 or 15, 20 people, and then over
kind of grew numbers, right?
Yeah, well, over a period of, I think now I'm at 10 years of the Steve Davis Show, and I think I've done probably 50 shows a year. Very seldom do I miss. I think maybe in 10 years I missed maybe 1 or 2 for sickness or car, some, or the equipment didn't work or something like that.
Or a much needed vacation.
Yeah, but actually I really I look forward to my guests. I mean, so it's like, well, when I ask you to come on, you're like, why would I want you to? I go, no, I want to really promote this sport. That it's already self-promoted, but people like myself that are more into other sports than motorsports, it's neat to see you have that enthusiasm with it.
Well, thank you. Yeah, David and I had been talking for a long time how I just want to keep working in auto racing and motorsport, and how much passion he and I both have for it. And it's great that we have the platform to do it on the television side of it now, and the radio, and just we're able to share our passion and share how much we love auto racing with other people, and we get excited about it. So we try to get everyone else excited about it.
Well, you actually work for the TV station, so I mean, so now you're actually doing you're doing your own show, but give me an idea. Tell people what you do during when you're not having fun.
The day job is the assignment desk at Channel 4, KOB TV, right here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and a lot of my job is logistics and trying to help our reporters and our photographers where they need to go for the day, what location they have to go to, what time do you have to go to shoot or whatever. We have to just kind of figure out and map out what the coverage and the game plan is going to be for the newscasts on that day.
And that's not sport. That's the whole. That could be
the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. It covers every aspect. So you could be outside and somebody's snowing. If it's raining a lot, you could have be at this location.
Exactly. And a big part of the job too is listening for breaking news and monitoring the police scanners and the Associated Press news wires and just gives you a whole look into what's going on. It's a job that doesn't necessarily have one or two main functions, but there's a lot of functions to it, and there's a lot of moving parts.
So you actually have a scanner when say somebody, does a burglary or does something like that, and you get the call. So then
you hear it as soon as the dispatch is hearing in, like 277 in progress or whatever. You hear the different scanner codes.
So you actually know the codes all
some
that.
of them, yeah.
You already know.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, my favorite is 10-4, because 10-4 means noted. Okay. That's also a racing term. So the running gag is they'll be in the newsroom. Hey, everybody, here comes 10-4. So, they know me as the 10-4 guy.
So what's your what would I put it this way? What in your short career of doing this? What's your best story?
Best story from the newsroom, or
the one getting the best shot. What was the best or the most exciting to make that happen, I guess?
Yeah, well, if I had to think about it, it's one of those things where we're listening for breaking news, and if breaking news happens, we have to pick somebody like a reporter and a photographer. Is
there one story though that's like this was like, wow, we got to get there. We can't get there quick enough because something's happening.
Yeah, and see, that's the attitude every day, and there's not necessarily one that sticks out per se that right away. That's a good question, because we always talk about how every day we're fighting the daily news war. Are we going to win the daily news war? Are we going to beat the other stations? So.
Right. So and that's very competitive, because it's like
super competitive. Yeah.
I know that I use Barker. That's investigation is that he'll put that carrot out, and he don't want the other stations to know what the real. Sometimes they'll hold the story for like 2 or 3 days, and like everybody's like, I gotta get home and watch.
Exactly. Kind of promote it or tease to it, and
the reason I say that is the one about the Lobos and and Paul Krebs and the stories behind that, and it's like. Pretty interesting how they have built that up to where people really. He's done a great job of marketing himself.
Sure, and I think that's something I haven't even been able to fully grasp yet on how much research and how much preparation goes into, especially an investigation like that. It's crazy how much months and months go into something like that.
And you're right, and I guess that's something behind the scenes, because nobody really. I even thought about how that even works, but well, back to motorsports. Let's get back to the real topic here, and 6 episodes, unbelievable guest. Unsers is one, but I'm just saying that's something new too, is to have to schedule them in your time frame to make it all work too.
Sure, Dave's a logistics guy, and I've been able to learn a lot under him as well, because. Dave knows a lot of people here in the town, and he knows a lot of the racing connections, and I think that's something that I'm really working at, and I think Dave really, really is good at getting our guests or who we need to get to come on the show, and it's been able to be a great opportunity just to learn about the local racing scene here too, because it's one thing to know national, but it's also another thing to know your community, and I think Dave does a great job in community involvement.
So the young lady, how did that happen? How did you, as the co-host, you have Dave?
Yeah, Brooklyn Green. So Brooklyn, I believe, is currently a senior at the University of New Mexico. She's majoring in journalism, and she has a lot of passion for racing as well. And Dave was, I think, with a couple people on behalf of ESPN Albuquerque at one of the job conventions or job fairs at UNM, and all these students handed over resumes and wanted to see, okay, who's interested in maybe doing something with the radio station or whatever, and Brooklyn was one name that I guess really took the initiative to show that she wanted to be a part of something.
So she's still in school.
Correct.
She's doing this. This has got to be great fun for her to.
Oh yeah.
Every time I see her walk through, it seems like she gets more and more confidence. When she first came in, she was very shy.
She's even jabbing us back on the show. You can tell she's getting comfortable.
Yeah, she's getting comfortable, and she's that again. It's reputation. You can't go to class and learn to keep an audience. It's just something that you have to go do over and over, and then you're is just keeping up on the weekly thing of what's happened nationally, locally, and any. I might pick your brain, but any local events coming up here in the next couple months or anything?
Well, I know ABQ Dragway's got some events coming up each week, and they do some stuff with Mopar, and San Diego Raceway holds some racing on Saturday night, and then actually my hometown of Grants just wrapped up this past weekend with their racing schedule. So, yeah, there's a lot of great local racing going on still. I think October's still the month to do it.
I know going north, there's, is it, I'm trying to think of the casino.
Yeah, the Hollywood Casino. They used to have a racetrack out there, and I don't believe it's open anymore.
I was going to ask you what I mean, it's so well built. I mean, and it just seems like it's a big waste.
Sure, and I couldn't even tell you who I heard this from because I'm not sure, but I've heard over time that they weren't making money at that racetrack just because it's sitting out there. You got the nice grandstands, you got the press box up on top, but when you don't have, I guess, people showing up to race or people filling the seats to
well,
do
I think, I don't want to, the biggest thing they don't have hotels or they don't have rooms.
Exactly. It's right in between Albuquerque and Santa Fe.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they had, like Sandia Casino where, you had a golf course and you have, you might make a vacation out of it.
Sure.
Where you can go out and stay. But anyway, we're going to come back and talk more New Mexico Motorsports.
Looking for some exhilarating fun? It's at All Out Zone. All Out Zone showcases Nerf dart tag games from team elimination battles to human versus zombies, pitting two teams against each other in fun, organized chaos with trained referees, music, and a full arsenal of Nerf blasters. You need team parties, birthday parties. We can customize the party to fit your needs. Visit us at the Coronado Mall. Give us a call, 505-444-6964. All Out Zone.
Carmody Medical provides solutions for your everyday needs. Hot and cold compression wraps provide therapeutic compression for the shoulder, hip, and knee. The therapy wraps are constructed of an insulated outer fabric and a ventilated cotton pocket to protect the body. Elastic belts allow mobility and deliver a gentle, adjustable compression. The reusable therapy packs can be removed from the pouch and placed into the freezer. Contact Jim for more information.
When I train for American Ninja Warrior, I schedule regular workouts to stay in shape. To keep my car in Ninja Tough shape, I head to a Napa Auto Care Center for regular maintenance and genuine Napa Auto parts. Like brakes and batteries. I trust my Napa Auto Care Center for quality parts and quality service. And with the 24-month, 24,000-mile nationwide warranty, I drive away with peace of mind every time. Visit AutoCareNM.com to find a location near you.
Hey everyone, Adam Deal here with Proview Networks. Extreme Clean is a proud sponsor and supporter of Proview Networks and all high school sports athletics. Owner Mike McLean and Extreme Clean specialize in carpet cleaning for apartment, realty, business, and residential clients. With over 20 years experience, attention to detail and quality customer service matters. For more information, give them a call, 505-221-6440, Extreme Clean. Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
The Steve Davis Show is proudly presented by Dave and Buster's.
Hey, welcome back to the Steve Davis Show. We got Dominic Aragon from Grants, Pirate from Grants. My question to you is you have David Swopes and you have the Girl Green. How did this all come about? How did y'all meet?
Well, I kind of think about it like a slippery slope, like how one thing in a chain of reaction just kind of leads to another thing. In high school, I was having the opportunity to talk with some NASCAR people and just kind of get some stuff published in the school paper, but knew that really wasn't going to last forever. So I was kind of looking around and thought it'd be cool to join a NASCAR website. It'd be cool to continue working towards being able to go to the racetrack and stuff like that. So I applied for a position with a website I will not name because they're still currently around. Ultimately got turned down for the position, but it kind of motivated me. I thought, okay, well, they didn't want me.
So you had rejection early in your life, huh?
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest with you, it stung because I really thought I could be qualified to work on their staff. And and for whatever reason was turned down. And so it was kind of like the light bulb popped in the head, and I thought, well, why write for somebody else? Why work for somebody else if I can try and do this myself? And so I didn't really have a lot of experience with web building or anything like that, but I thought I can just launch my own and see where this thing goes. I don't know how to work a website or how to work coding or anything like that, but let's just give this a shot. And so launched the racingexperts.com in August of 2010 as a junior in high school, because I just wanted to keep doing this passion. And just kind of began as a blogging website, just talking about NASCAR here and there, to actually like interviewing people and covering news. And then we got picked up, some of our stories got picked up on ESPN affiliates, and that's what really got our name going. And then forwarded to college, we got to break some more stories. And one of my best friends, who happened to be my roommate my sophomore year, he's like, you got to get in touch with this guy. They just hired him out at the station because he was working as a producer at ESPN Radio Albuquerque. And this was like in March of 2013. He's like, they just gave him a motorsport show. You got to reach out to David Swope and kind of at least talk with him and see what's going on. Reached out to David. We really didn't talk, I think, for the whole summer, the fall, and my friend Christian just kept saying, you need to give him a phone call. You need to give Swope a call. And we finally met up for lunch one day in like the winter of 2013, and he brought me on his show, and then just full steam ahead from there. And so you just saw that picture from the Daytona 500. We got the chance to go cover NASCAR's biggest race. And there's one of our other staffers, Justin Malillo, that was out at Pocono this year. And it's just crazy how something that rejection ended up being the best thing that could have happened, because I would have never started this website. I would have never met the people I've met. And it's just really cool to have the little small staff and the small group of people we have behind this thing, and David's a big part of that.
That's similar to Proview Networks when we first started. It was, because it was everything about Proview Networks I heard was negative. Okay, and you're like looking at it, but it just kept motivating me from being, and what little athleticism I had and played in college, and but it kind of just kept working. And if you go back 10 years ago, if you just go back 10 years and you think, the internet wasn't very stable. Okay, it was, and the computers and people, it was just getting it was getting really high demand at that time, and then emails were like big, just starting instead of doing paperwork and stuff. So the biggest thing with us was it buffered. I mean, the internet wasn't fast enough to stream it. And since that time, it has changed. So basically, the first 6-7 years we were actually doing the infrastructure, of getting the infrastructure in all the gyms and all the stadiums and all the things. And then now you see where it's almost why people are asking, how come you're not doing our game tonight? And we, my staff, they think we do like 10 to 15 games a week, and we don't even hit how many games are going on across the state or even in the city of all the sports that's going on.
Have to kind of be selective.
Well, it made it really good. We could do. It's more of where we could have the internet, and it was stable. So it made that was our first goal. So now we're in all. We've been we've got Los Lunas, we've got Rio Rancho, we've got the metro area and the private schools. So
maybe Grants someday soon.
Grants is we've actually done, and they had a great team 2 years ago. They've always had some great teams, but I'm just saying they were like one of the top teams in the state, and we had great. Actually, I think if I'm correct, Comcast goes to Grants because we do Yaffle football, and that was big for. So in essence, you asked that question. You're being reported to me. We actually one of our biggest viewing was Yaffle football, and they would come in and they'd be live on Comcast Channel 26.
Oh yeah, and Grants really has a lot of pride in football, like you said, and building the football teams, doing the two-a-days, and starting them young.
Truthfully, it was and Josh Brown, the guy directing the show right now. It was we find out, you know, a lot of times the smaller towns are more, they want the exposure, whereas sometimes in the city, you know, I don't say this, but they're used to it, so they you know, they're not. It's a big thing. We did the Los Lunas Artesia game, and the people in Los Lunas were just were ecstatic about Proview coming and doing the game. So. We, you know, again, we get enough about Proview Networks. Okay, let's get back to your show. What was the idea when? I mean, you said it just clicked. I know that Marty Watts was talking about, you know, doing a show, and then finally David. We met, and then we hit it off pretty good, and I said, well, why don't you just go do a show? And it was like, he had to really think about it. He's like, well, I want it to be good, and I tell you, just, you know, we showed a little clip from that beginning of this segment, and I tell you, it's exciting to see you guys getting better, and so it puts like pressure on Proview Network because we need to get different sets, get more, change things up to where it fits you guys better.
Yeah, well, we make it work with what we have, and we really enjoy being able to incorporate video and have interviews and things like that. So it's been fun. We put together a little package for one of the shows last week. So being able to really include a lot of video and a lot of different elements is what really makes this thing really exciting, because it makes it visual.
And again, too, with it, it changes weekly, you know. And it's funny. I was at Duke City last night, and they had NASCAR. One of the owners he's a big NASCAR fan, and he has a TV up. I'm like sitting there. You would never have thought that I would be. You know, my Yankees were playing, and I was watching NASCAR. You know, watching. They had highlights. I don't know if it was a race, but it was talking about the upcoming events, and it was pretty exciting.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of great racing, whether it's local or national, and it's just great. We have a platform to talk about it and get people pumped up.
So what other guests are you looking at in the future? It's hard to beat the answers. I mean,
sure.
So if you got that energy, so what's your next? Who's something that maybe we might see here in the future of somebody that's is known nationally?
Sure. Well, I don't know if Dave would kind of smack me for kind of revealing our guests or anything like that, but we do have a former IndyCar driver and IndyCar winner who has said he would come on our show. We have some people who work in local TV that have said they'll come on. We've had also, and I can say this, whenever he runs here through Albuquerque, we're going to have Jeff Bodine. He's the 1986 Daytona 500 champion on our show, because he writes for the RacingExperts.com, and we have such a good relationship with him and the radio station. So that I can tell you, we will have Jeff on, matter of when, not if. But yeah, we're really excited. There's so many cool guests and so many cool stories to tell locally here, and we're gonna get that chance.
And just, you know, you think about the answer names always, but you know, Guthrie is a big name. You know, that I when he went to Indianapolis, I know that there was so many people that were just rooting for him to win this thing. I mean, it was I had. Leonard Tires. They somehow Tanya Leonard is that I was worked with in real estate. It was like, nope, we're taking the whole day off, and we're going to watch it. And they got up early in the morning. It was pretty cool on the whole thing. So, but it's the excitement. You don't think of Albuquerque as big as has had so much to do on the national level, and what's neat about them is they're just good people.
Well, you look, like, especially IndyCar, and you watch an IndyCar race, and whenever they put up little graphics of who's won where, or how many wins, you always see the answer name associated with something like that, and it's just really cool to see how they've represented the state on a national scene like that.
Real quick,
sure.
Let's go again. When do you air? What night? What day do you air?
We air Thursday nights at 5:30, and we also have the Motorsports Show on ESPN Radio 1017 The Team on Saturday mornings live 8 to 9, and then you can always catch us at nmmotorsportsreport.com and supplemental coverage on theracingexperts.com.
And that's you, and you keep do a weekly. You keep that up weekly, right?
Yeah, we cover a lot of national stories. We focus that website mostly on NASCAR coverage, but we do try to keep it up to date as much as we can.
So who's on this Thursday? Can you give us a little bit of a carrot there? You know?
Well, I have a colleague who works with me actually who has covered NASCAR in the past. So we're going to bring him on and kind of talk about what it was like to work within NASCAR and cover auto sports and anything like that during its prime, because he covered in the early 2000s.
So we keep that name undercover because
I will say this: if anyone listens to us on the radio, they know he helps fill in for David when he's gone. So I'll leave that as the hint.
Oh, we'll see if we have anybody coming in on this thing. So, but let's put your website up. Say that again. Racing Experts, right?
The RacingExperts.com, auto racing news website. We cover mostly NASCAR and what's going on.
You've been doing this for how long?
So the Racing Experts has been going on now for 7 years.
7 years.
Since August of 2010. So it's just crazy how big.
10-year anniversary here.
Yeah.
And doesn't it go quick?
It goes so quick. I mean, had someone told me we'd be having 2 NASCAR drivers writing for us, and the staffing that we have, and how many races we've been to, and how NASCAR recognizes us when this thing began, I wouldn't have believed them, because it's just crazy how this thing's grown.
Well, Dominic, thanks for coming on the Steve Davis Show, and good luck with your show, and good luck with your endeavors with Motorsports Report.
Well, thank you so much, Steve. Thanks for having me on.